Blue Mountain and Reading began operations in 1983 as a 13-mile short line, operating state-owned rail line between Hamburg and Temple, Pennsylvania. They provided service to freight customers as well as developed a passenger excursion business. In 1990, Conrail was looking to sell roughly 150 miles of branch lines in the Anthracite Coal Regions. The Blue Mountain and Reading purchased the Reading cluster of trackage from Conrail, expanding the company and changing the name to the Reading, Blue Mountain, and Northern. Operations on the former Reading trackage began on December 15, 1990. The Reading, Blue Mountain, and Northern inherited badly neglected trackage, with much of it being 10 miles an hour or slower. The beginning of operations in the coal regions were challenging to say the least, but with a regular repair and maintenance schedule, conditions began to slowly improve. In Volume 1, we view the beginning of freight service on the Reading cluster from December 1990 through September 1991. As well as passenger excursion operations.
This starts out right when they were given the right to take the Reading cluster, which is the old Reading Coal Regions lines. There's some the new railroad articles that were in the paper. It was a big deal. Conrail had run these lines into oblivion almost. There was derailments constantly, and Andy Muller finally took over the railroad December 15th, 1990. These are films by Eddie Heck with help from Rick Kantner, both employees at Reading and Northern. They hired out with me around April of '91. I hired out in March. We were all laid off by Conrail.
December 14th, 1990, the last day operations of Conrail in the coal region. The yardmaster told me that the last trains on the tracks in the region left last night, one from St. Nick at 8 o'clock, and one from here last night, Thursday night the 13th, at 9 o'clock. Otherwise, these tracks would be loaded with engines. I think the moving van best sums it up for today. It's about the only moving piece of equipment. Unfortunately, that'll be on this piece of film today.
The station was to become the headquarters of the Reading and Northern, with a train dispatcher in there. Jeff Seidel, the general manager, was in there, and the crew room was there for the crews to sign up. The station is still there today.
It's overlooking the yard along Railroad Street in Cressona. Tomorrow, December 15th, is when the Blue Mountain and Reading assumes operations up here. The new railroad would be called the Reading, Blue Mountain, and Northern.
There's coal cars in the yard at West Cressona.
The first Blue Mountain and Reading train's running. Hopefully I'll be off of work, and hopefully I'll be around here when it happens.
They were stored there over the winter because there was very little anthracite being shipped in the winter.
December 15th, 1990. Reading, Blue Mountain, and Northern inspection trains.
Here's their qualifying trip for the Bud cars. You know I like Buds. This is Leesport. The comes southbound with one of those Reading turns with the combined crews going to Reading. This is at Port Clinton. They'll run right out the LC&N, up the grade end and number 14 breaker, and then pull a dragger coal down the 3% grade out of LC&N. Here they're gingerly pulling the cars down the ramp. When you went up into these breakers, it was like going back in time to the Molly McGuire's.
Controlled runaway in Middleport.
I guess that's the best way to describe it.
Going over one of the many bridges between Westwood and Cressona, and that's it. Look for more volumes of what this D railroad became and how it became it. See you next time.